today is an exciting day because it is time to harvest my garlic. And so I'm going to show you a few important steps. So first I'm going to show you when you can know when it's time to harvest your garlic. You don't want to harvest it too early, and you definitely don't want to harvest it too late. I did that one year and I was so sad. The second thing I'm going to show you is how to harvest it properly. You don't want to just go yanking it out of the ground. And then step 3 that we're going to tackle today is how to cure it properly. And with my method of curing, my garlic stays good for 10 months in storage, and I will argue up to 12 months. I still have some year-old garlic in the house, and I'll show you that at the end so you can see how it looks. And I will say my method for curing garlic is a little unique. I don't see many people doing it that way, but it works really well. And if you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm so glad to have you here. I am in the Northwoods of Minnesota, so I'm about zone 3, zone 4. It's about mid-July, so it's perfect time to do that garlic harvest. And here is my garlic patch that we're going to be harvesting from today. It is probably about 20 feet long, and I have 4 bulbs wide. I space them 6 inches apart. If you haven't seen my garlic planting video yet from last fall, definitely check that out. So I'm not sure exactly how many heads of garlic I have, but we should have a decent harvest, and this will be enough to feed us the entire year. So let's go ahead and jump in. Step 1 is figuring out if your garlic is ready to be picked. I'll show you what we're looking for. So here is one of our lovely garlic plants, and what we're looking for is that the bottom 2 to 3 sets of leaves have browned. So you can see this is the first set here, the second set, which is brown. The third one hasn't quite browned yet, so we could wait a little bit longer, but 2 sets is just fine. And so the reason why we're looking for those 2 to 3 sets of leaves to start to get brown and papery is because we want those protective coverings of the garlic clove to be somewhat protective. If we harvested it too early when all of the leaves are green, what would happen is they're just pretty soft and they're not going to protect the garlic clove quite as well. So we really want to protect that bulb so that it stores well. The other negative when harvesting too early is the obvious. Your bulb is just not going to be quite as developed, so you'll be selling yourself short. Okay, I had to let the chickens out. They were being obnoxious and yelling at me. They were ready to come out for the day. So on the flip side, if you're harvesting your garlic too late, what's going to happen is those cloves are going to start kind of expanding and splitting, and that's going to split the skin, making it not all that great in storage. It's really going to shorten its shelf life, which is a super bummer. I did that one year. I was busy and I just didn't get around to harvesting in a timely manner, and ultimately what I had to do in that situation is I peeled all of the garlic cloves and had to freeze it all. One other step leading up to today is harvesting those garlic scapes. Hopefully you've already done that. My garlic scapes pop up about 3 weeks before it's time to harvest. And doing so is really going to help direct energy into those bulbs instead of developing that flower. So that's going to give you bigger bulbs. And I noticed looking through my garlic patch, I actually missed a couple garlic scapes. So we'll take a peek and see how it affected my bulb development. Now the next step is the fun part. It's actually getting these guys out of the ground. Now unfortunately, I totally tweaked my back a couple of days ago, so I've been largely bedbound, which has been terrible. I'm not someone to just sit inside. So long story short, I am not in good shape to pull these guys out of the ground. So Ryan, my lovely assistant, has agreed to come out and help me harvest. So I'm gonna go grab him now. Oh, you jerks. Oh no. I've got chickens in the garden eating my stuff. Oh boy, let's get you guys out of here. All right, I have my lovely assistant here. Oh, I knocked off your mic, didn't I?
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much for helping.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
I had so much choice.
Well. Okay, I have my lovely assistant Ryan here. Thank you for helping me. So this will be fun. I'll teach him and you how to harvest garlic today. Okay, so here is the garlic. So what we're going to be doing is lifting them out of the ground gently. You don't want to just yank them up because the bulbs are actually buried pretty deep in there. We don't want to stress the bulb. My best method is using a pitchfork and just kind of like trying to get underneath the bulb, but don't pierce the bulb. It might happen a couple times. We'll just eat those right away.
So how deep?
Pretty deep. They're
You're
probably
due for a new pitchfork.
Oh, honey. Yeah. Well, we'll just make do with what we've got. And go ahead and kind of get underneath it. It's pretty deep in there. and then lift with the heavy clay soil. This is a lot harder than our last homestead.
There you go.
Awesome. And then
Knock the dirt off.
knock the dirt off, but don't like aggressively clean it, I guess. Just get the big chunks off.
Okay, so are we worried about hurting these little hairs?
Nope. The hairs don't matter. They'll just kind of shrivel off and I'll eventually trim them off.
So how much dirt do I need to get off? Oh, a worm.
Ooh, leave the wormy. That looks good.
That's good looking.
Look at that. Awesome.
So is there anything I need to be looking for that says this one's not ready, or are we just pulling them all out?
Yes. I'm looking for ones that have 2 to 3 brown leaves. I did notice there are a few in here where only one is brown. So go ahead and just leave that one. We'll give it another week.
Oh, hit my first garlic already.
Oh, you pierced it?
Oh yeah,
Oh no.
took one clean out of it.
Hey, that's what we're having for dinner tonight. Oh. Here,
Sorry.
let's show everyone your failure.
That didn't take long.
See, it's okay, guys. We're all learning here. So
Smells good.
if that happens, just set these aside and we're gonna eat this right away.
Okay, it will not happen again.
Oh, good luck. That's our reject pile. And then we'll put this one in the good pile.
So the bulb that I left in the ground, do I need to try and find it?
Oh, you knocked a clove off?
Yes.
Yeah, try and find it if you can. Otherwise, we'll be growing garlic there again next year, which isn't the end of the world.
Here it is.
Yay, just put it in your pocket. Okay, so here is our bulb. This is looking really good. So when Ryan and I were chatting about the dirt, so it's ideal to pick the garlic after a few days of no rain. So if I was trying to harvest these in wet clay soil, oh my gosh, it would come up in a huge clump of mud. So try to pick a drier day and just kind of get the big chunks off, but don't worry about cleaning it entirely. What's gonna happen is as this dries, the dirt is just naturally gonna crumble and fall off during the curing process. We don't wanna damage these protective papery skins. While they will toughen and harden up as they dry, they're pretty delicate right now. You're doing good, Ryan. Farmer Ryan.
Yeah, so these are a lot deeper than I expect them to be. So when I was aiming my pitchfork, it kind of goes in and it curves, and I was mis-aiming.
Yeah, you can see why that pitchfork is really helpful. It'd be really hard to just pull that out as is.
Oh, I got too far away. See, I'm scared of them now.
I know, it's okay. We'll just be eating good with the garlic for a bit if you get one.
There it goes.
Heyo.
Just kind of popped. Is there maybe some sort of something got in there?
So it looks like the bulbs were just growing really fast and it was starting to split. So definitely glad that we were harvesting when we did. Okay, we have an update to our method. It's always learning when you have a new garden space. So with our heavy clay soil, the pitchfork was just not moving the soil enough. So Ryan has since upgraded to, what do you call this, a tree spade?
Yeah, it's a tree spade.
And that's pulling up the dirt a whole lot better because ultimately there was still too much heavy soil on this bulb and it was kind of stressing it as Ryan was pulling it through. So this is doing a better job of lifting everything up.
Yeah, and the forks were also coming through the soil and piercing some of these. I was having troubles with that.
Thank you.
So would you pull this one?
Yeah, that's close enough. We'll take it.
What about this guy?
Yeah, that's close enough for me. Awesome. So interesting how some will come up pretty clean while others have like 2 pounds of dirt on it.
Mm-hmm.
And here I wanted to show you guys the importance of adequate spacing of your bulbs. I do a 6-inch spacing, but here is a normal size bulb, and then look at these little ones. So what happened is I accidentally put 2 cloves in 1 hole, and so I ended up with 2, but yeah, they're definitely a lot smaller than the adequately spaced one. Rocks.
Rocks. There it is. Think you got a pumpkin started there?
Yep, little baby pumpkin. Yeah, I think I'll get a lot more pumpkins this year. I got one last year. Just one. But it was massive. It was the biggest pumpkin I ever had. We're still eating off of it. I can't remember. I think I got 30 cups of pumpkin off that one pumpkin.
Really?
Okay, I'm gonna take this pile out. Okay, Ryan did a great job. We got most of it out. I would say 90%, just a few stragglers left that I'll get probably early next week. So been making piles over here. So these are all the really great ones. And then just a few rejects. So not too bad, Ryan. You did great. So these rejects are just ones that accidentally got pierced during the harvesting process. Or we had a few like this, where I think even though they only had 1-2 leaves dried, we've had an incredible amount of rain, and then it's been really warm the last week or so. So I think these just kind of grew too fast and started to split open. So this pile, we're just gonna focus on eating those right away. So next steps is we're gonna load these guys into my trusty wagons and bring them up to the house to start the curing process so that they'll be good for long-term storage. Okay, we're back up by the cabin, so we're ready for the next phase, which is curing the garlic properly. Curing is probably the most important step if you want to keep garlic year-round. So this step is what's really gonna help those coverings around the garlic bulb there to really toughen up and protect those cloves inside and keep them from drying out. And the way that you do this depends a little bit on where you live. I'm in zone 3/zone 4 Minnesota, where it's not very warm. And so I differ a little bit, well, quite a bit from most gardeners out there, that I actually cure my garlic outside under the sunshine. You probably see a lot of gardeners tucking them away in a garage with fans, lots of airflow, or on a covered porch. And that's good if you live in a warmer climate, but I'll show you what I do. We had a good harvest this year, I think. So I like the wagon method because this is so easy. I don't have to create some big elaborate racking system, especially one that's indoors. I have a covered porch. I guess I could probably do something on top of the hot tub. And the shop, if you have seen videos of the shop, she is full. There is not much room there. So this works really well for me. And I was doing this at our last home when we did have a lot of indoor space. And so I just love the simplicity of the wagon, and it does give the garlic really good airflow. Airflow is probably the most important thing. That's why you'll see people putting fans on it. You really want it to dry out quickly and not mold or anything like that. So you definitely don't want to just dump these guys in a garbage bag or something like that. They're totally going to mold. So all I'm doing is just kind of spreading them out evenly, and this wagon is going to do all the work for me. Since there's holes all the way around it, it's going to have really great ventilation and just aid in that drying process. And the reason why most people don't have them outside under the sun is because the bulbs can get some sun scald on them. So that's where I think the wagon method also comes in to be helpful, because they're kind of upright and they're naturally kind of shading the bulbs around them. So I think if I were to lay them out flat somewhere, you know, just straight out in the blazing sun, not as good. But this wagon method, man, it takes care of everything. Every few days I'll come in here and just kind of rearrange them, flop them over a little bit. That didn't work so good. To just kind of rotate them, make sure that everyone's getting good airflow. And lastly, the other thing that I really like about the wagon method is this is mobile. So if it ends up raining, I can just wheel it right into the shop, because you don't want them to get rained on. And that's probably why a lot of people do prefer to do it indoors. You don't have to worry if it rains, where now I have to keep on top of it a little bit more, but hey, it works for me. It's easy. And then I don't have to stand there and just thread the garlic in one at a time. Like, we're pretty much done. And this took like 3 minutes. So now I'm just gonna go through and kind of rearrange these, because this is too dense. This is not enough airflow. So we want it to be nice and breezy, so everyone has their own space. And you might be wondering how long these guys are gonna be out here for. So about 2 weeks, sometimes 3. So we're really gonna wanna make sure that they are fully dried and cured before we move on to the next phase. I am really happy with the garlic harvest this year. Oh, we need to do our comparison of the ones that did not have the garlic scapes snipped off. Let's see how those bulbs look like. So I just grabbed 2 random bulbs, so this is probably not a super scientific comparison, but these are the 2 with the scapes on it. You can see the size of the bulbs here. These are the 2 without the scapes on it. So to be honest, the ones without the scapes are slightly bigger than these, but not quite as significant as I was expecting, I guess. Okay, so I spent some time putzing around and I decided, no, I think there is room for everybody in here. So I have everyone nice and spaced out. You can see everyone is in a single layer, and you can kind of see how I have it arranged so that they are gonna get some shade just from the greens above, so we won't get any sun scald. I've been doing this for like 10 years and so far so good. It works really well for me, and to give you some proof, I will show you my year-old garlic. You can see how it looks. So here is my 1-year-old garlic bulb. Still honestly looks pretty darn good, doesn't it? Let's go ahead and open it up together. It's pretty dry at this point. But hey, not bad. It's just starting to sprout a little bit. The cloves are pretty dry, like they're not firm, like super firm anymore, but they're still absolutely edible. Not too bad for being a year old, huh? So my curing method works. I know you might think I'm crazy using this method compared to what most people do, but hey, the proof is in the pudding. I do have a garlic planting video from last year. So you plant garlic in early October, at least here in Minnesota. So definitely check that out if you haven't already. And that'll really help set the stage to a good, successful garlic harvest. And of course, making sure that it'll hopefully do well in storage. I think these turned out really well. I'm super excited about this year's harvest. Again, these are gonna stay out here for 2 to 3 weeks until they're nice and dried and these bulbs have developed a good protective coating. And then what I'll do is just trim off these root hairs and then trim off the top around here, and they go into storage. Well, it was super fun to have you along for the garlic harvest. Huge thank you to Ryan for helping me harvest. I couldn't have done it without him. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments and let me know if I should maybe do a video on storing it and what I do to help it last the full 12 months. My system isn't perfect. I don't have a root cellar, but I do the best I can, and so far so good. As always, thank you so much for being here. I so appreciate your support. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you on the next video.